Welcome to class, everyone. I've been dying to say that for about 3 weeks now and have not been able to, so I took that opportunity. Say one more time. Welcome to class, everyone. Today we're going to learn a little bit about perspective drawing, particularly one-point perspective, things that you'll need for this assignment. You'll need a pencil, something to draw with, need some paper. This is just some typing paper I had. I'm trying to make do with perhaps some things that you might find around home. There's a possibility that we could get some drawing packets and that sort of thing out to you, but if not, we'll just continue on with our drawings using the materials we have at home. The other thing you're going to need is a ruler with making this particular drawing. Some of you worked through the extra credit assignment that used to be the assignment for the E-Day, but then everything became an E-Day, and so we didn't really need that anymore. Anyway, that was dealing with one-point perspective on how to draw something as a simple cube. The idea is this, that you have in your space, we'll do a little bit of sample freehand drawing here. Let's say that you had a fence or something like that, and you have this fence, and this fence post is right here next to you, right? And it's about an 8-foot fence, and so that's pretty good. But then the next one down over here is a little bit further away, and when we see it, that fence post is not quite the same height. And then you have the fence that's kind of going back into space, and then maybe a little further down here you have another fence post that's not quite as big, like that. Maybe another one a little further off, like that. And then if this fence was infinitely long, you would find that your fence, as it goes back into space, things get smaller and smaller and smaller as they go away from you. And that's one way that you're able to make things look like they have 3 dimension to it, because it looks like it's going back into space. This is a flat piece of paper, right? So there's no space, no depth associated with it. But it does appear to be, this drawing appears to have these things going back into space. And so that's the idea or the concept we're going to work with. If this went back forever and ever and ever, eventually these lines would come back here, and you can't see forever. You can only see a certain distance, and so they go back to a point right here where the fence would just vanish. It just disappear into thin air, as it were. It's because we can't see that far. We are limited in our vision on what we can see. But we can utilize that to help make our better drawings. So we're going to call this point right here, this is called a vanishing point. This is where it goes so far back into space that what you see up close here eventually vanishes. And there's a couple different types of vanishing points. This is dealing with a one-point perspective, or a one single point vanishing point that we're working on with those. And so we're going to utilize that to draw some simple things to start out with, like some cubes, some simple forms. A form is a 3-dimensional shape as we start to look into those. And so we're going to make those cubes. Here's the quick version of that one. We're going to do this with a ruler, so it's very, very precise though. But the idea is we're going to start with the face of the cube here like this. We're going to have it go back to our vanishing point right here, where it's going back into space. We're going to chop off the back so you see a top, see the bottom. You can't see the sides on this one, but we'll show you how to do that. And so then that looks like a cube. If there was one over here, we draw the front of it like that. We go back to our vanishing point this way, and then maybe come down this way, and then back to our vanishing point that way. And so now we see that we have, that's the quick version of creating a cube. Utilizing this idea of vanishing points, as these things, if they're infinitely long, would go back into space. I want you to be a little bit more precise than that. When you're doing some initial outline planning and stuff like that, doing rough sketches and stuff like that, if you know this idea, obviously it can help you create a better look for what it is you're drawing. Some of you discovered that when you had the idea of your car drawing, when you had it going back into space. It was like a 3/4 view or something. You were utilizing vanishing points to make it look a little bit more realistic on that, the same idea. Let me flop this over, and we'll just utilize this paper. So here's what I want you to do. For this particular assignment, I'm going to have you put your vanishing point, I'm just right up here in the middle. Okay? And so that's my vanishing point. Everything that I draw is going to go back to that vanishing point. Let's draw a square first, a square or a rectangle. So utilizing my rulers, I can this is a see-through ruler. You can use any ruler or straight edge you want. It doesn't even need to be a ruler per se. It can just be a straight piece of cardboard or something that you can use that's there. Like I'm using the rulers here to make sure that that's square. If you had a straight piece of cardboard or something like that, you just kind of cozy it up like that, and then you can draw that one so it's square too. So you have those angles that are squared. Then I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to line that up like that. And you'll notice that I have extra. That's okay to have extra. I'm just going to erase it. So that's step number one, drawing a rectangle. You draw the face of it. You draw the front of it using a single point perspective. If you need to pause the video at any particular time to get things done, just hit the pause button and then you can pick up from where you left off. I'm going to continue on with this so you know what comes next. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to utilize my vanishing points. So the top of the box, this is the front of the box, right? So we're looking at that. And so the top, it kind of is going back into space. So we're going to use that vanishing point. The side of the box over here, it's kind of going back into space. So we're going to use that here. The bottom, well, we can't see it because it's underneath it on those. On this side over here, we can't see it because we can see this side of it. If we saw both sides of the box and it wouldn't be a box, right? So if we're sitting over here, we can see, if you look at the camera, we can see this side of it, but you can't see this side of my hand. Same thing with, because of where we're looking, this is where our eyes are right here. Our eye is actually right here, this level right here. So we're looking over to the side, so we're going to see this side, but not this side. Okay, so set the straight edge or the ruler on the vanishing point. Set it on a corner of the square or rectangle that you just drew. Then take that and have it go back into space, and you get to decide how far it goes back. I'm going to go about that far. Then I'm just going to rotate this around and go to the next corner right here. Put the straight edge or ruler on the corner and put it on the vanishing point, and then draw back into space. I'm going to hold this down here. I'm going to rotate this one around as well, going this way. Notice it's on the corner. It's also on the vanishing point. Let's make some adjustments, and then I draw a line going back. Now, here's where most people make the biggest mistake and where you will be marked down if you do it wrong. If this truly is a box, if it's a cube, then the front edge here, this is probably a better tool, the front edge here and the back edge here go in the same direction, right? We can kind of see how that would work. But if you look at it, if they go the same direction, well, what about these points on here? This point's a lot longer. Well, I didn't measure it or calculate it or anything. Of course, one's going to be longer or shorter or something like that. And so we want to make sure that the front edge and the back edge are parallel, perpendicular, perpendicular to the whatchamacallit, the ground, as it were, with that. So these are parallel. This one over here also is parallel with the front pieces as they go back into space. So what I want you to do is take your straight edge, and I want you to sight through, or at least be able to see that they're parallel with the front part here. And then what I want you to do is I want you to draw a line straight up and down, a vertical line like this. I don't want you connecting to the end. That's where people make the mistake. They just connect the ends here and say, oh, it's good. Well, you haven't measured it. You don't know if it's good. We do know that they are parallel with those lines here. Then I can rotate this around, set the straight edge right here on this point, and then rotate it, and I can look here to see that these lines are parallel. And then I finish it off like that. This stuff right here, this is extra. I don't need that. Okay, so I want you to erase that. And then once again back down over here, this was just extra. Stuff that we don't really need. Now if you draw lightly, some of you may be concerned about having these ghost images and stuff like that. I'm not concerned about that right now. As we progress into the future with those, I'm going to want you to draw lightly first, but we want to make sure you understand how to draw this before we go on to something else. Okay, so we got one cube. Yay! Let's go ahead and make one over here. And it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to draw one here. There's some stuff like that. I'm going to make it go over to about here. I'm going to come up here. And drawing that. here. A little bit of extra. Erase that. Then vanishing points. Vanishing point, corner. Corner, vanishing point. Corner, vanishing point. Make the backs parallel to the fronts. So this is a vertical line here, right there. Flip this around, set it on the back corner. Make sure that this and this are all going in the same direction, and that should be horizontal. And don't break your pencil. If you do, get more juice. Okay, there it is. And then come back and erase your extra. Some of you, like I said, if you did the extra credit, said, hey, Mr. White, this looks really familiar. It is really familiar. It's a similar assignment on this. Okay, let's do one down here. I'm going to make a big flat one. And this one I'm going to put right in the middle here. Notice on this one here, I guess, before I get started on that one, you see the front, and since this is our eye level here, this is where our eye is right at that vanishing point, we can see the top because we're looking down on it, right? We can see this side because we're looking over to this side of it, but we can't see this side because our eye can't go around the corner and take a peek around the corner like this. So it's all a direct line of sight of what we see on those with our eye level. Where our eye level is this, so we're sitting here in front of it looking at this thing. I don't think we're back in space here, way at the vanishing point, but this is where our eye is. The height at which it is right up here in space as we're moving back towards the camera. Okay. All right, let's make this guy down here. Let's make a kind of a short one here. I don't want this one to be too tall. And the thing you'll notice I did on this one is I've actually straddled the vanishing point. Notice I'm on both sides of it here on that. Okay, that looks pretty close. And then I have a little bit of extra. A little bit of extra. Now this time, I'm going to do the same thing. Vanishing point, corner. And I'm going to go back at just a little bit here, like that. I'm going to rotate over here. Corner is here. Vanishing point is there. And I'm going to scoot that back like that. And then I'm going to do the back side. Remember, the back side is parallel to the front side. So this has got to be a horizontal line. Let's make it about that deep with those. And then I'm going to erase this little bit of extra there. So I've made 3 boxes. Pretty good stuff there as they go back into space. And on this one, if this is where our eye is right up here, right? Okay, so we're just going back in as we come up to the camera where we're looking at way back up here somewhere. This is where our eye level is, and we're looking at this cube. We can see the top of it, we can see the front of it, but we can't see this side right over here because we can't go around and we can't go around and view around the corner. We have to go direct line of sight, and this side is out of sight. Same with this side over here. So on this one, we only actually see the top of it. To help distinguish between these cubes and where things are, I would like to do a little bit of a shading assignment on that, a little bit of value associated with these. Let's go ahead and make the tops of these kind of a light gray. And so I'm going to shade in the tops of all my boxes, this one, and this one, with a light gray. And I'm just gonna go through this pretty quickly. I'd like you to be more detailed on that, but for the sake of this video, we'll just go ahead and lightly shade and work a little bit quicker so that we don't do it quite as finished as I would like it to see for you. I guess we can do this to utilize our smudgy technique to try and clean that up. But I want nice, clean, crisp edges. Just because it's a smaller assignment, it's not like tremendously great works of art, but let's take the pride to have our details and things working out really, really well for us. So, tops light gray. The sides, I would like that to be a little bit of a darker gray as we start to work in those. So the two sides of the cubes that we have here, let's put those in at a little bit of a darker gray. And so we'll use our best shading things. Technically we shade from the edge going into the center, right? That's one of the techniques we used. We shade along the direction of the surface, so I can go this way. I can also go this way, kind of along the vanishing lines, and that will help make it look a little bit more realistic because I'm utilizing those techniques. Okay, that one there. I'll finish this one off, then I want this top to be light gray as well. Like that. And so I have the top light gray, the top light gray. This top over here is going to be light gray. I got to turn this sideways for me to do the light gray here. Because I got a shade in the direction of the surface. Also I'm still using the tip here to guide where I place those values. And then I'm going to rotate this guy over like this. And then this is going to be a dark gray. And shading in the direction of the surface. That creates contour lines that go along the surface so that it looks like it is more of a solid piece because I've shaded in this direction. Okay, I'm going to go back over here and then use these lines shading in this direction, taking those lines out back to the vanishing point area. That also is a surface area and it makes it look like it's just a little bit cleaner. Then I want to come back here and make sure my edges are clean. And like that. Take up some of the little mishaps that I had here where I shaded outside the area. Okay, so that is the first assignment that I have for you in dealing with the perspective lines. Is first drawing 3 simple cubes. What I would like you to do when you're done with your 3 cubes, photograph this, upload it to the assignment. I'll give you points for it. Things that I'm looking for. I want to make sure the backs and the fronts are parallel. Okay, if they're not, I'll mark you down. Make sure that your vanishing lines go back to the actual vanishing point. As such, when you photograph this, please photograph it from straight on. I often have sometimes people photograph at an angle like this, and all of a sudden now the vanishing points, they still work on that one. The lines are still going back there, but it's even skewed even more because you've physically made part of the paper closer to you, and so you're literally having the vanishing point effect happen on your paper because it's slanted. If you take the picture straight on top of it like this, it's going to turn out so much better for you, and I'll be able to see it a little bit better. All I'm going to do is I'm going to just look at the screen and see if these vanishing points go back, the vanishing lines go back to the vanishing point. So I'm going to check and make sure that these ones are either horizontal or vertical. That's all they're going to be. Horizontals, verticals, or back to the vanishing point. If I see something like this, it's wrong, right? If you connected the dots on the ends like this, if you made this your line for the end of the box, that's wrong. It's not horizontal. It's skewed. It's going off into space somewhere. And so that's what I'm looking for as we do this. We will do some other drawings. We'll get into a hallway drawing of how to draw a hallway, so maybe inside of a box or inside of something as we go back into space. And then there's some other things we can do as well. Lettering works really, really well. Some of you know how to do that sort of a thing, but we'll do a little bit of a lettering experiment in the future with our vanishing points and single point perspective. Thanks so much for tuning in and doing these exercises with me. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.